Hello, fellow seekers of wisdom and growth. Welcome back to Inkwell Insights, your haven for literary explorations designed to illuminate your path and enrich your life. Here, we believe in the transformative power of stories, their ability to spark curiosity, provide invaluable insights, and ultimately, encourage us to reflect deeply on the human experience. Have you ever stood at a crossroads, unsure of which path to take, yearning for a guiding light to illuminate the way? Have you ever wrestled with prejudice, either witnessing its sting or inadvertently contributing to its perpetuation? Have you ever felt the weight of injustice, the frustration of powerlessness in the face of inequality? Have you ever wondered what it truly means to be courageous, not in the face of a tangible threat, but in the quiet battle against societal norms and ingrained biases? Have you ever considered the profound impact a child's perspective can have on revealing the complexities of the adult world? And, perhaps most importantly, have you ever wondered how to cultivate empathy, to truly walk in another person's shoes, especially when those shoes are vastly different from your own? These are questions that resonate deeply within the pages of the book we'll be exploring today, Harper Lee's masterpiece, To Kill a Mockingbird. This isn't merely a novel, it's a poignant exploration of childhood innocence confronting the harsh realities of racial prejudice and societal hypocrisy in the Deep South during the 1930s. What makes To Kill a Mockingbird so enduring is its unflinching honesty, its profound simplicity, and its ability to resonate with readers across generations and cultures. It's a story told through the eyes of a child, yet it grapples with themes of justice, morality, and the inherent goodness and darkness that reside within us all. It's a story that challenges us to confront our own biases, to question the status quo, and to strive for a more just and compassionate world. So, let's delve into the heart of Macomb, Alabama, and uncover the timeless lessons that Harper Lee has so masterfully woven into this literary tapestry. At its core, To Kill a Mockingbird grapples with the insidious nature of prejudice, specifically racial prejudice, and its devastating impact on individuals and communities. This isn't simply a historical issue confined to the American South of the past. Prejudice, in its various forms, continues to plague our modern world, manifesting in discrimination based on race, religion, gender, sexual orientation, socioeconomic status, and a myriad of other factors. It's a corrosive force that divides us, fuels conflict, and prevents us from realizing our full potential as a society. The real tragedy lies not just in the blatant acts of hatred and violence, but in the subtle, often unconscious biases that permeate our thoughts, words, and actions. Consider, for example, the subtle microaggressions experienced by people of color in the workplace. A black colleague might be consistently overlooked for promotions, despite having superior qualifications, simply because they don't fit the company's image of a leader. A female engineer might have her ideas dismissed in meetings, only to have them later adopted by her male colleagues. These seemingly small acts, repeated day after day, can erode an individual's self-esteem, confidence, and sense of belonging, leading to burnout, anxiety, and depression. Or think about the casual prejudice directed towards immigrants and refugees. They are often stereotyped as lazy, uneducated, and a drain on society, despite the fact that many are highly skilled professionals who contribute significantly to the economy and enrich the cultural fabric of their new home. This prejudice can manifest in discriminatory housing practices, unequal access to education and healthcare, and even hate speech and violence. Another example lies in the subtle biases we hold towards individuals with disabilities. We might assume that someone in a wheelchair is incapable of performing certain tasks, without even giving them the opportunity to try. We might use condescending language or treat them with pity, rather than respecting their autonomy and individuality. This prejudice can limit their opportunities, hinder their personal growth, and lead to social isolation. Furthermore, consider the prejudice directed towards those struggling with mental health issues. They are often stigmatized as being dangerous, unpredictable, or simply crazy, which prevents them from seeking help and perpetuates a cycle of shame and suffering. This prejudice can lead to discrimination in employment, housing, and even healthcare, further isolating individuals and hindering their recovery. Finally, we can look at the prejudice directed towards individuals based on their socio-economic status. The poor are often demonized as lazy, irresponsible, and undeserving of assistance, while the wealthy are often idealized as being inherently superior and deserving of their privilege. This prejudice can lead to discriminatory policies, unequal access to opportunities, and a widening gap between the haves and have-nots. As Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. so eloquently stated, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. This powerful statement underscores the interconnectedness of all human beings and the importance of fighting against prejudice in all its forms. It reminds us that when one group is marginalized and oppressed, the entire society suffers. It urges us to stand in solidarity with the oppressed, to challenge injustice wherever we see it, and to work towards a more just and equitable world for all. Are we truly doing our part? To Kill a Mockingbird confronts this pervasive issue head-on through the experiences of Scout Finch, a young girl growing up in the racially segregated South. Through her innocent eyes, we witness the injustice inflicted upon Tom Robinson, a black man wrongly accused of assaulting a white woman. Atticus Finch, Scout's father, a lawyer of unwavering integrity, defends Tom despite the overwhelming pressure from the community. The novel meticulously portrays the deeply ingrained prejudices of Maycomb society. The jury, swayed by racial bias rather than evidence, convicts Tom despite the clear inconsistencies in the accuser's testimony. This verdict highlights the power of prejudice to blind people to the truth and to deny justice to those who are different. Lee paints a vivid picture of the social hierarchy of Maycomb, where race is the defining factor. The white community is divided into various classes, with the Ewells, a poor and uneducated family, occupying the lowest rung. However, their whiteness grants them a sense of superiority over the black community, regardless of their own circumstances. This underscores the irrationality of prejudice, where superficial characteristics are used to justify discrimination and inequality. Through the character of Atticus Finch, Lee presents a powerful model of moral courage and empathy. He understands the deeply ingrained prejudices of his community, but he refuses to compromise his principles. He defends Tom Robinson not because he expects to win, but because he believes it is the right thing to do. He teaches his children the importance of treating everyone with respect, regardless of their race or social status. You never really understand a person until you consider things from his point of view. Until you climb inside of his skin and walk around in it, he tells Scout, encapsulating the essence of empathy. The book also explores the complexities of prejudice within the black community. Calpurnia, the Finch family's black housekeeper, serves as a bridge between the white and black worlds. She is respected by both communities, but she also experiences the subtle prejudices of both. Through her character, Lee highlights the diversity within the black community and the challenges they face in navigating a racially divided society. Furthermore, To Kill a Mockingbird demonstrates the intergenerational nature of prejudice. The children of Maycomb learn their prejudices from their parents and the wider community. Scout and Jem, initially, are not immune to these influences. They use racial slurs and adopt the prejudiced attitudes of their peers. However, Atticus challenges their assumptions and encourages them to think critically about the world around them. Through his guidance, they begin to understand the injustice of prejudice and to develop their own moral compass. The novel uses symbolism effectively to reinforce its themes. The Mockingbird, a symbol of innocence and vulnerability, represents Tom Robinson and Boo Radley, both of whom are unfairly persecuted by society. Atticus warns his children that it is a sin to kill a mockingbird, because they only bring joy to the world and do no harm. This metaphor highlights the injustice of harming those who are innocent and defenseless. The trial of Tom Robinson serves as a microcosm of the larger societal issues at play. It exposes the hypocrisy of the legal system, the power of prejudice to corrupt justice, and the importance of standing up for what is right, even when it is unpopular. The outcome of the trial, despite the overwhelming evidence of Tom's innocence, underscores the deeply entrenched nature of racial prejudice in the South. Ultimately, To Kill a Mockingbird is a powerful indictment of prejudice and a call for empathy and understanding. It reminds us that prejudice is a learned behavior and that it can be unlearned. It encourages us to challenge our own biases, to treat everyone with respect, and to stand up for justice, even when it is difficult. It's a story that challenges us to be better, to strive for a world where everyone is treated with dignity and respect, regardless of their race, religion, or background. Is this not a worthy aspiration? However, prejudice isn't the only issue at play. The novel also presents a compelling exploration of moral courage, demonstrating the strength required to stand up for what is right in the face of overwhelming societal pressure. Atticus Finch embodies this virtue, serving as a beacon of integrity in a community consumed by prejudice and ignorance. Atticus's decision to defend Tom Robinson is not driven by a desire for fame or fortune, but by a deep-seated belief in justice and equality. He understands that Tom is innocent, and he refuses to stand idly by while he is wrongly accused and potentially condemned to death. He tells Scout, "The one thing that doesn't abide by majority rule is a person's conscience." This statement encapsulates the essence of moral courage, the willingness to follow one's conscience, even when it goes against the prevailing opinion. Atticus faces intense criticism and ostracism from the community for his decision to defend Tom. He is called names, his children are bullied, and he is threatened with violence. Despite this pressure, he remains steadfast in his commitment to justice. He explains to Scout that he has to defend Tom, not because he expects to win, but because he could not live with himself if he didn't. "If I didn't, I couldn't hold up my head in town, I couldn't represent this county in the legislature, I couldn't even tell you or Jem not to do something again." This highlights the importance of integrity, of living in accordance with one's values, even when it is difficult. Atticus's courage extends beyond the courtroom. He confronts a mob of angry men who are trying to lynch Tom Robinson at the jailhouse. He stands his ground, unarmed, and talks them down, preventing them from carrying out their violent intentions. His presence, his calm demeanor, and his unwavering belief in justice shame the men into dispersing. This scene demonstrates the power of nonviolent resistance and the ability of one person to make a difference, even in the face of overwhelming odds. Furthermore, Atticus teaches his children the importance of moral courage. He encourages them to stand up for what is right, even when it is unpopular. He teaches them to respect everyone, regardless of their race or social status. He instills in them a sense of empathy and compassion, helping them to understand the perspectives of others, even those who are different from them. The character of Miss Maudie Atkinson also embodies moral courage. She is a wise and independent woman who supports Atticus's decision to defend Tom Robinson. She stands up to the prejudiced members of the community and defends Atticus's character. She tells Scout that Atticus is the same in his house as he is on the public streets, highlighting his integrity and consistency. Even Boo Radley, the reclusive neighbor who is initially feared and misunderstood, demonstrates moral courage in the end. He emerges from his isolation to save Jem and Scout from Bob Ewell, who is seeking revenge for Atticus's defense of Tom Robinson. Boo's act of courage reveals his humanity and challenges the community's prejudiced assumptions about him. The novel contrasts Atticus's moral courage with the cowardice and hypocrisy of other characters. Bob Ewell, driven by hatred and prejudice, resorts to violence and lies to protect his own self-interest. He is a symbol of the destructive consequences of prejudice and the moral decay that can result from a lack of courage. The jury, swayed by racial bias rather than evidence, demonstrates a collective lack of moral courage. They convict Tom Robinson despite the clear inconsistencies in the accuser's testimony. Their decision reflects the pervasive prejudice of the community and the unwillingness of many to challenge the status quo. Ultimately, To Kill a Mockingbird is a powerful reminder of the importance of moral courage. It demonstrates the strength required to stand up for what is right, even in the face of overwhelming societal pressure. It encourages us to examine our own values, to challenge our own biases, and to strive to be people of integrity, who are willing to defend the vulnerable and fight for justice. As Nelson Mandela said, "Courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it." This resonates profoundly within the context of the novel. Beyond prejudice and courage, To Kill a Mockingbird also delves into the complexities of childhood innocence and its inevitable confrontation with the harsh realities of the adult world. Scout Finch, the novel's narrator, provides a unique and insightful perspective on the events unfolding around her. Her innocent observations and unfiltered reactions expose the hypocrisy and prejudice of the adult world in a way that is both poignant and humorous. Scout begins the novel as a naive and carefree child, blissfully unaware of the deep-seated prejudices of her community. She enjoys playing with her brother Jem and their friend Dill, exploring the neighborhood, and getting into mischief. Her world is relatively simple and uncomplicated. As the novel progresses, Scout begins to witness the injustice and prejudice that permeate Maycomb society. She sees the mistreatment of Tom Robinson, the ostracism of Boo Radley, and the casual cruelty of her peers. These experiences begin to chip away at her innocence and force her to confront the complexities of the adult world. Scout's perspective is often contrasted with that of the adults in her life. She struggles to understand their prejudices and their seemingly irrational behavior. She questions Atticus about the use of racial slurs and challenges his explanations. Her innocent questions often expose the hypocrisy and absurdity of the adult world. Atticus plays a crucial role in guiding Scout through this process of moral development. He encourages her to think critically about the world around her and to develop her own moral compass. He teaches her the importance of empathy and compassion, helping her to understand the perspectives of others, even those who are different from her. He shields her from the worst aspects of the adult world, but he also allows her to witness the injustices and prejudices that exist. Jem also experiences a loss of innocence as he grapples with the outcome of the Tom Robinson trial. He is deeply disillusioned by the injustice of the verdict and struggles to reconcile his faith in the legal system with the reality of racial prejudice. He becomes more withdrawn and cynical, losing some of his childhood optimism. The trial of Tom Robinson serves as a pivotal moment in the loss of innocence for both Scout and Jem. It exposes them to the harsh realities of racial prejudice and the limitations of the justice system. They realize that the world is not always fair and that good people can suffer unjustly. Boo Radley, initially portrayed as a mysterious and frightening figure, also represents a form of lost innocence. He is a victim of societal prejudice and has been forced to retreat into isolation. His act of saving Jem and Scout from Bob Ewell reveals his inherent goodness and challenges the community's prejudiced assumptions about him. The novel uses the symbol of the mockingbird to represent innocence and vulnerability. Tom Robinson and Boo Radley are both likened to mockingbirds, because they are innocent and harmless individuals who are unfairly persecuted by society. The killing of a mockingbird, therefore, symbolizes the destruction of innocence and the loss of hope. As Scout matures, she learns to navigate the complexities of the adult world without losing her sense of empathy and compassion. She retains her childlike curiosity and her willingness to question the status quo. She learns to see the world through the eyes of others and to understand the perspectives of those who are different from her. Ultimately, To Kill a Mockingbird is a powerful exploration of the loss of innocence and the importance of maintaining one's moral compass in the face of adversity. It reminds us that childhood is a time of learning and growth, and that the experiences we have during this time shape who we become as adults. It encourages us to protect the innocence of children and to guide them towards a deeper understanding of the world around them. William Wordsworth's words come to mind, "The child is father of the man." How do we ensure that the child within us remains untainted by the world's negativity? These three intertwined themes, prejudice, courage, and the loss of innocence, are explored through various narrative devices and character interactions within the book. They are meant to inspire empathy in the reader. But empathy itself can be misunderstood. We might believe we are empathizing with someone when we are actually projecting our own experiences and feelings onto them. We might feel sorry for someone without truly understanding their perspective. We might offer advice or solutions without listening to their needs. Or, we might confuse empathy with sympathy. Sympathy is feeling sorry for someone, while empathy is understanding and sharing their feelings. Sympathy is looking down on someone from a position of superiority, while empathy is walking alongside them as an equal. Furthermore, we might practice selective empathy, only extending it to those who are like us or who share our values. We might demonize those who are different from us, seeing them as the other and denying them our compassion. This is precisely what happens in To Kill a Mockingbird with the white community's treatment of Tom Robinson. We might also experience empathy fatigue, becoming overwhelmed by the suffering of others and shutting down emotionally. We might avoid situations that trigger our empathy, becoming detached and apathetic. This can lead to burnout, particularly for those who work in helping professions. Another pitfall is allowing our empathy to be manipulated. We might be swayed by sob stories or emotional appeals, without critically examining the facts. We might be taken advantage of by those who exploit our compassion for personal gain. Finally, we might believe that empathy alone is enough. We might feel good about ourselves for understanding and sharing the feelings of others, without taking any action to alleviate their suffering. Empathy without action is ultimately meaningless. To Kill a Mockingbird advocates for a more profound empathy, one that transcends mere understanding and inspires action. It encourages us to truly walk in another person's shoes, to see the world through their eyes, and to fight for their rights, even when it is difficult. As Atticus Finch famously advises, you never really understand a person until you consider things from his point of view, until you climb into his skin and walk around in it. This is not just a suggestion, it is a call to action, a challenge to actively engage with the world and to strive for a more just and compassionate society. But how can we actively practice this more profound empathy? The first step is to cultivate self-awareness. We must examine our own biases and prejudices, acknowledge our own privilege, and recognize the ways in which we might be contributing to the suffering of others. We must be willing to challenge our own assumptions and to question the status quo. The second step is to actively listen to the stories of others. We must create space for marginalized voices to be heard and to learn from their experiences. We must resist the urge to interrupt, to offer advice, or to judge. We must simply listen, with an open heart and an open mind. The third step is to challenge injustice wherever we see it. We must speak out against prejudice and discrimination, even when it is uncomfortable. We must support policies that promote equality and justice for all. We must use our privilege to amplify the voices of those who are marginalized. The fourth step is to practice compassion in our daily lives. We must treat everyone with kindness and respect, regardless of their race, religion, gender, or background. We must offer help to those in need, without expecting anything in return. We must be generous with our time, our resources, and our love. The fifth step is to remain committed to the ongoing work of empathy. We must recognize that empathy is not a destination, but a journey. We must continue to learn, to grow, and to challenge ourselves to be better. We must never give up on the hope of creating a more just and compassionate world. As the Dalai Lama wisely said, our prime purpose in this life is to help others. And if you can't help them, at least don't hurt them. Are we truly striving to embody this principle in our daily lives? To achieve this, we need to become more aware of the subtle ways in which prejudice manifests in our lives. We must challenge ourselves to confront our own biases and to actively work towards dismantling them. This is not an easy task, but it is a necessary one if we are to create a more just and equitable world. We need to teach our children about empathy and compassion from a young age. We need to encourage them to see the world through the eyes of others and to stand up for what is right, even when it is difficult. We need to model empathy and compassion in our own lives, showing them that it is possible to be both strong and kind. We need to support organizations and initiatives that are working to combat prejudice and discrimination. We need to advocate for policies that promote equality and justice for all. We need to use our voices to speak out against injustice, wherever we see it. We need to remember that we are all connected and that the suffering of one person affects us all. We need to cultivate a sense of global citizenship and to recognize our responsibility to care for all of humanity. We need to work towards creating a world where everyone is treated with dignity and respect, regardless of their race, religion, gender, or background. This requires a conscious effort to resist the seductive pull of negativity and to cultivate a more optimistic and hopeful outlook. We must focus on the positive aspects of humanity, on the kindness, compassion, and resilience that exist within us all. We must remember that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope for a better future. We must be willing to challenge our own limiting beliefs and to embrace the possibilities that lie before us. We must believe in ourselves and in our ability to make a difference in the world. We must be proactive in creating the life we want and in shaping the world we want to live in. This requires a commitment to personal growth and self-improvement. We must be willing to learn from our mistakes, to forgive ourselves for our imperfections, and to constantly strive to be better versions of ourselves. We must be lifelong learners, always seeking new knowledge and new perspectives. We must also be mindful of the company we keep. We must surround ourselves with positive and supportive people who believe in us and who encourage us to pursue our dreams. We must avoid those who are negative, cynical, and draining. And we must find ways to give back to our communities and to make a positive impact on the lives of others. This could involve volunteering our time, donating to charitable organizations, or simply being a good neighbor and a supportive friend. Above all, we must remember that we are not alone. We are part of a global community of people who are committed to creating a better world. We can draw strength and inspiration from each other and work together to achieve our shared goals. As Maya Angelou so aptly put it, I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. How can we make others feel seen, heard, and valued? To Kill a Mockingbird serves as a timeless reminder of the importance of empathy, courage, and justice. It challenges us to confront our own biases, to stand up for what is right, and to strive for a more compassionate and equitable world. It's a book that stays with you long after you've turned the final page, prompting you to reflect on your own values and your own role in shaping the world around you. It urges us to slow down, to listen, to understand, and to act with compassion. So, I encourage you to revisit this powerful novel, or if you haven't already, to embark on this literary journey. Share this exploration with your friends, your family, your community. Let's spark a conversation, a collective reflection, that can lead to meaningful change. Leave your thoughts and reflections in the comments below. What resonated with you most? What challenges did you face as you considered these themes? What actions are you inspired to take? Even a small act of kindness, a conscious effort to challenge a biased thought, can ripple outwards, creating a wave of positive change. Try practicing active listening this week, truly focusing on what others are saying without interrupting or judging. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of To Kill a Mockingbird. I am deeply grateful for your presence, your curiosity, and your commitment to personal growth. Remember, the journey towards a more just and compassionate world begins with each of us. Until next time, may you find the courage to speak truth to power, the empathy to walk in another's shoes, and the unwavering belief in the inherent goodness of humanity. As Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change that you wish to see in the world.